Oddly believable conspiracy theories about the Unabomber in 2020. Fifth, the Zodiac. Sentences often. Both killers were also described similarly and owned similar items. The Zodiac was described as favoring one leg over the other, while Kaczynski's brother described him as so pigeon-toed that it affected his gait. Both also used guns with flashlights attached to blind people, rifles, and Winchester Western .22 Super X ammo. A genius mathematician, Kaczynski would have had the ability to create a complex cipher for the Zodiac's coded messages. He also has a documented interest in symbols like the Zodiac's crossed lines on a circle. He once signed a yearbook with a similar symbol and wrote a dissertation on the boundary functions of circles. The unit circle, which is, again, a circle with two crossed lines drawn in the middle, was a particular focus for him. Kaczynski used the Algi's rune to mark a campus where he struck once. The symbol looks like an upside-down peace sign and can represent the life of tree or a great terror. It is, once more, a circle with lines crossing inside it. A genius mathematician, Kaczynski would have had the ability to create a complex cipher for the Zodiac's coded messages. He also has a documented interest in symbols like the Zodiac's crossed lines on a circle. He once signed a yearbook with a similar symbol and wrote a dissertation on the boundary functions of circles. The unit circle, which is, again, a circle with two crossed lines drawn in the middle, was a particular focus for him. Kaczynski used the Algi's rune to mark a campus where he struck once. The symbol looks like an upside-down peace sign and can represent the life of tree or a great terror. It is, once more, a circle with lines crossing inside it. While the FBI has tested Kaczynski's fingerprints against those found at a Zodiac crime scene and found no match, the Zodiac did claim that the police never really had his fingerprints. A writing analysis has shown that the two have different styles of writing. The FBI claims to be fairly certain that Kaczynski is not the Zodiac, but it wouldn't be the first time that the FBI has fibbed, would it? Fourth, the sketch. The famous sketch of the Unabomber doesn't resemble Ted Kaczynski, especially not when compared to the possible picture of the Tylenol killer or the sketches of the Zodiac. There were a few sketches of the Unabomber made, though. The first two strongly resembled Kaczynski, but the witness was unsatisfied with the likeness. 7.5 years later, the FBI brought in Gene Boylan, an expert sketch artist who works from interview rather than composites, to make a new one. The new sketch, the well-known one, was distributed worldwide. After he was caught, people would note that the sketch did not resemble Kaczynski very much. Boylan and the FBI think that they know why that is. Making a police sketch from a witness statement only hours after the event can be inaccurate, but making one after 7.5 years tests the limits of the human memory a bit. They believe that the witness didn't remember the face of the Unabomber during her interview but rather the face of the first sketch artist she worked with years before. The resemblance is striking, unlike the sketch's resemblance to Kaczynski. The going theory is that she remembered remembering Kaczynski, and that left her with a confused image. Third, the Nathan R. A website called Unabombers.com is dedicated to telling the truth about the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, and J. Ray Detling. Their belief is that Kaczynski has been set up for the crime, and the sketches are central to finding the truth. They put forth that the first composite sketches resemble Kaczynski because they are morphed images made with a NASA technique originally designed to reduce atmospheric distortion. Various similarities between the supposedly morphed sketch and one of Kaczynski's college photos are cited as evidence, including various lighting quirks and a faint afterimage of the background. In other words, they can tell by the pixels and from seeing quite a few photomorphs in their day. If the image is morphed, that would mean that Kaczynski was set up, and the witness rejected the initial sketch because it looked nothing like the man she saw. But why? The website preserves a written statement supposedly made by Daniel Pride, a friend of J. Ray Detling, Pride opens by talking about the Nathan R. note, a small memo scribbled on the envelope containing the Unabomber's announcement of the Epstein and Galanter bombs before they were detonated. He claims that he's the one who wrote the note while sitting at the desk of J. Ray Detling, the actual Unabomber. Pride went on to describe reading the Unabomber manifesto on Detling's computer 3 years before it would be published and being told by Detling that it was fiction. Detling showed great glee whenever the Unabomber was discussed and often argued points found in the manifesto with Pride. He also lived a lavish lifestyle in a palatial mansion, despite his only income being 5 US patents that traced back to government agencies. The site ultimately alleges that Detling is the real Unabomber, while Kaczynski was a convenient MK Ultra patsy. Second, insanity. During Kaczynski's trial, he flatly refused to accept the plea deal offered to him. As part of the plea, he would have to agree that he was insane. Kaczynski felt that this was both untrue and would hurt the validity of his manifesto. David Kaczynski, the brother who turned him in, insisted that Ted was disturbed and shouldn't be subject to the death penalty. Several, but not all, of the psychiatrists and psychologists who examined Ted diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia. Ultimately, Kaczynski would accept the plea but would go on to deny his diagnosis vocally. There is some evidence to back this up. When he began at Harvard at age 16, a nurse who gave him his freshman year checkup assessed him as stable, well-liked, and a bit shy. For men, the onset of schizophrenia generally hits sometime in the late teens or early 20s. The onset of schizophrenia usually has a huge negative impact on work, but Kaczynski seemed to do well right up until he quit to go live in his cabin. The onset of schizophrenia usually has a huge negative impact on work, but Kaczynski seemed to do well right up until he quit to go live in his cabin. His personal life was bad, but he did fine at work and study. Schizophrenia also impairs speech and thought, which doesn't show in his meticulously drafted manifesto. Even the judge at his trial characterized him as lucid, calm, and intelligent. So, why the insanity plea, then? For one, it was a smart thing to do. An insanity plea can save a defendant from the death penalty, which any competent lawyer would want for their client. For two, it changed the narrative. Leaving aside his methods, Kaczynski's manifesto was nothing revolutionary. Most people at the time knew that technology was getting a bit out of hand and worried about what industrialization might do to the environment. We still do. But if Kaczynski was insane, it would hurt his cause and allow many people to dismiss it. First, a profit. Kaczynski wrote in his very long manifesto that technology had caused more harm than good and that it was necessary to tear it all down before it got any bigger. The bigger it got, the worse the fallout would be, he reasoned. He also noted that progress had only made the first world's rich more comfortable but had made the poor across the world miserable. The manifesto went on to insist that the masses would never willingly give up on progress but would instead hobble along while patching the damaged parts and destroying the planet. Finally, he concluded that a small group of dedicated environmentalists would need to use any means necessary to destroy society. The first part of this narrative has a lot of truth to it, but the hook is right there at the end. It's easy to imagine an angry, stressed reader getting to that last bit and suddenly feeling that he or she is one of the chosen who will save the earth, even if it means killing people. Maybe especially if it means killing people. That is exactly what happened for several groups whose members openly identify as anti-civilization, or anti-civ. Kaczynski is seen as a brilliant hero by anti-civ groups on both sides of the political spectrum, a fact that would no doubt infuriate the anti-left bomber. Thanks for watching.